welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources, could be articles, research, our own notes, and we really try to pull out the key insights. The whole point is to help you get up to speed quickly, sort of cut through all the noise and get right to what matters. And today we're diving into something I find really fascinating. We're looking at three totally distinct drinks: rum, root beer, and ginger hibiscus sorrel. But here's the twist, right? They're all supposed to symbolize or kind of embody this specific subpersonality we're calling Mac. So the idea is to understand let's say, the vibe of Mac by looking at his drinks. Okay, let's unpack this a bit.
Exactly. And our sources for this, well, they come from pretty detailed research notes on each drink. We're talking history, cultural significance, and how they symbolically resonate with this Mac character.
Okay, great. So kicking us off, let's talk rum. I mean, most people probably just think, parties, pirates maybe.
Yeah.
But your research showed a surprising depth, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's way more than just a party drink. Rum actually gets its start back in the Caribbean 17th century. It basically came about as a byproduct of the whole sugarcane trade. And what's really striking is, well, it was enslaved Africans who figured out that molasses, the leftover stuff from sugar production, could be fermented.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's key. Yeah, it's key. And from there, rum, well, it quickly became like actual currency in the triangular trade. That route connecting Europe, Africa, the Americas.
The transatlantic slave trade route.
Exactly. So it's deeply, deeply tied up with colonialism, with slavery, but also, importantly, with rebellion. Pirates loved it, sure. Sailors got paid in it sometimes, and it even fueled revolutions. This isn't some, bougie beverage. It's history in a bottle. Seriously.
Wow, okay. And culturally, I gather it's seen as a people's drink, maybe even a libation for liberation. My notes definitely point to how central it is in Caribbean culture. For rituals, celebrations, funerals, even offerings to ancestors, it's tied to carnival, that huge celebration representing resistance, joy, but also grief sometimes. And it's just woven into everyday life, isn't it? Like in cooking, poured over cakes, or just sipped while playing dominoes. It feels really integral.
It absolutely is. And it's evolved, too. I mean, think about it. It went from this really harsh pirate's punch, maybe, to these really refined, aged sipping rums, craft bottles, even luxury brands. But, and this is key, it's still widely accessible. Rum kind of went from the shack to the chateau without losing its soul,
That's a great way to put it. So what's actually in it? You said molasses.
Yeah, so the core is usually sugarcane juice or molasses, water, and yeast. Pretty simple, right?
Simple, yeah.
But what comes out? Complexity. The process involves fermentation, then distillation. That can be in old school pot stills, those big copper kettle things, which give a bolder flavor. Or it could be modern column stills, more like Paul Towers, for something smoother, maybe purer.
And then aging.
Often, yeah. Typically in American oak barrels. And sometimes they'll infuse it with spices or fruits. The skill involved really varies too. You've got homebrewers doing their thing right up to these master blenders at the big distilleries.
Right. And the variations.
Yeah.
You mentioned aged, but there's more, isn't there? White rum, dark rum.
Oh, yeah. You've got your white rum, light, good for mixing. Dark rum, more bold, smoky from the aging. Spiced rum, of course, with vanilla, cinnamon, that kind of thing. And then there's overproof rum. Rah. Some of that stuff is 75% alcohol by volume. You got to respect that. It's potent.
75%. Wow. Okay.
And the rituals around it. Tiki drinks, those flaming shots you sometimes see, the classic rum cake. And everyone, it seems, has that sacred family punch recipe that nobody outside the family can quite get right.
Huh. Yeah, I know that feeling. Symbolically then, emotionally, what does it evoke? Freedom, rebellion.
Definitely those. Freedom, rebellion, celebration for sure. But also, there's a real nostalgia there, especially for islanders. And it provides comfort for diasporic communities, people living away from their ancestral homes.
That's kind of fun, but deep. Sweet, but with a bite.
Exactly. That's a good way to describe it. Sipping it can be like hearing an old calypso tune in your grandma's kitchen. It's warm, familiar, but has history.
Okay, connecting this back, you mentioned resilience, community, pleasure.
Yeah, its social role is kind of like an icebreaker, maybe a truth teller sometimes. And it feels like the soundtrack to both Caribbean joy and, frankly, Black survival. Its roots are deep in places like Jamaica, Barbados, Cuba, Haiti, Trinidad. And yeah, it started maybe working class, but now it's enjoyed everywhere, across all social levels. You find it at summer BBQs, beach trips, funerals, reggae festivals, college parties, holidays. All ages enjoy it.
So it's mainstream, but still holds on to that counterculture vibe.
Totally. It's accepted, but it never feels fully tamed. which, starts to sound a bit like Mac, doesn't it?
It really does. And pop culture references, Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously.
Yeah.
But why is the rum gone?
Classic line.
Yeah.
And Hunter S. Thompson's Rum Diaries, that sort of hazy ode to excess.
Right. And you hear it in reggae, calypso, dancehall, hip-hop.
Absolutely. And Mac's own quote, right?
Hmm.
Rum and root beer is sweet, smooth, and low-key, deep a drink of contradictions.
Yeah, that quote really nails it. So the social perception is kind of let's vibe, fun, easygoing.
Pretty much. Low maintenance, but it can be elegant when aged. It's a party starter, yeah, but also a memory maker.
And trend status. Timeless.
Timeless, I'd say, but still kind of underrated for its complexity, maybe. Rum isn't really trying to impress anyone, it's just real. Perceptions might shift a bit generationally, but for people from the diaspora, it often stays sacred.
And the actual taste, texture, temperature.
It varies a lot. It can be sweet, warm, smoky spiced, often room temp or chilled. Texture can be smooth or have a real fiery kick.
And it lingers, you said, like
Yeah.
a bass line.
Yeah, it does. It sticks with you. And that lingering quality, that mix of contradiction, so Mac. Sweet and strong, wild yet wise, rooted in rhythm, rebellion, community. It fits his quote perfectly. Sweet, smooth, and low-key deep a drink of contradictions. That's him in a glass right there. It shows how he finds that liberation and joy, even within these really complex, sometimes difficult histories. It speaks to a resilience in him, I think, both public and private.
Okay, that's a powerful connection.
Yeah.
Now, let's pivot.
Yeah.
Completely different vibe, you said. Root beer. That seems pretty innocent, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying it have its own complex story.
It really does. I mean, its origins go way back to indigenous North American medicinal brews. They used roots, herbs, bark. The commercial version we know, well, that came later. A pharmacist, Charles Hires, debuted this root tea back in 1876.
Root tea.
Yeah, root tea first, but then he apparently rebranded it as root beer to make it sound more appealing, particularly to the working class. Coal miners specifically is the story.
Interesting. So what was its cultural purpose back then? Health tonic.
Pretty much. It was meant to be a health tonic, non-alcoholic, obviously.
All right.
Foamy, sweet. It had that old-timey apothecary aesthetic,
Yeah, I can picture it.
And then during Prohibition in the 1920s, it became this really popular, friendly alternative. You'd find it in soda fountains. It became part of that American nostalgia thing. And the root beer floats with the ice cream. That just screams childlike joy in a glass.
Totally. So it went from this sort of handcrafted health drink to a big commercial soft drink.
Right. And now in the U.S., it's mostly seen as like a kid's drink or maybe a bit of a novelty. But internationally, people often find it really weird, like exotic Americana.
Okay. So what's in modern root beer? Is it still actual roots?
Well, not usually sassafras root anymore. There were health concerns about a compound in it, saffrol, so mostly it's artificial sassafras flavoring now, plus things like wintergreen, licorice, vanilla, nutmeg, and then sweeteners and carbonation, of course.
So quite different from the traditional way.
Oh, yeah. Traditionally, it involved actual fermentation of herbs and roots. It took time, skill, often used a yeast culture, more like making kombucha or, well, actual beer.
Right. And variations today. The float is king, but what else?
Well, the root beer float is definitely the icon, that American diner staple. But you do see alcoholic root beer now. That had a moment. And craft root beers are a thing, definitely. Plus, homebrewing is kind of gaining niche popularity again.
Okay, so symbolism.
Yeah.
Emotional tone. Nostalgia seems huge here.
Huge. After school snacks, summer days, birthday parties. It screams nostalgia. And comfort, too. It feels safe, sweet, familiar.
And maybe a bit of rebellion, like you said, it looks like beer.
Exactly. You feel kind of grown up drinking it as a kid. It's definitely playful, quirky. It's a drink with personality. It's not trying to be elegant, It's just here for a good time.
Culturally, you connect it strongly with Americana. Summer, county fairs.
Yeah. Especially like Midwest, South, maybe. Summertime vibes. Primarily kids, maybe ages 5 to 15. But, hipsters and nostalgia buffs keep it alive, too.
So mainstream name, but niche in practice.
Sort of, yeah. It definitely has this counterculture, vintage, revivalist edge among the craft soda folks.
Media appearances. The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Yep, those definitely feature it. And it's often linked to that 1950s Americana feel.
And how do people see it socially? Kind of weird, kind of cool.
That sums it up pretty well. People seem to either love it or just totally avoid it. It's not pretentious at all. It's like, the fun friend you invite to the party to keep things light and maybe a little weird.
Trend status. Still underrated for adults.
Timeless for kids, definitely underrated for adults. But yeah, it is making a bit of a comeback in craft soda shops.
And how did different generations see it?
Well, for boomers, Gen X, it's probably a classic childhood thing. Millennials, Gen Z, maybe it's ironic nostalgia, or they might just think it's totally weird.
And internationally, toothpaste soda. Really?
Clearly, yeah, that comparison comes up a lot. The wintergreen,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay.
Mhm.
Taste, temperature, texture.
Best served chilled, definitely. Strong notes of vanilla, spice, licorice. The texture's often a bit creamy, usually foamy. Sweet, but like we said, surprisingly complex. Kind of like cola's quirky cousin.
Okay, I see the Mac connection now. Mac coded, as you put it. It's goofy, loved by kids, maybe not taken super seriously.
But it brings joy.
Yeah.
And Mac's ability to mix humor, warmth, and complexity that really mirrors root beer's quirky charm, doesn't it?
It does. Like Mac, root beer isn't afraid to stand out. Sweet, a little spicy, and definitely better with friends.
And that Prohibition-era thing, finding joy in unexpected, maybe subtly defiant ways, that feels very Mac, too. Even his lighthearted side has this quiet depth, this playful paradox. It defines his everyday charm.
Fascinating how these really different drinks seem to have these common threads when you look closer. All right, third drink. Ginger hibiscus sorrel. This one sounds like it really embodies heritage and celebration. My research suggests it's pretty meaningful.
Oh, it absolutely is. Sorrel's story, well, it starts in West Africa. Hibiscus, or roselle as it's sometimes called, was used there to make this tart, kind of medicinal tea. And enslaved Africans brought the plant and the tradition with them to the Caribbean. That's where it evolved into this really beloved celebratory drink, especially in places like Jamaica, Trinidad,
It was
Barbados.
way more than just a drink, like a symbol of survival and celebration.
Exactly. My notes really stress that. It's a staple at Christmas, weddings, New Year's, big occasions.
And how's it served? Strong, spiced, cold.
Usually, yeah. Brewed strong, spiced loud, served ice cold, perfect for the Caribbean heat. And there are these like ancestral echoes connected to it. People drink it because their ancestors brewed it before them. It's a continuation.
Wow, so it evolved from medicine to celebration.
Pretty much from herbal medicine to this really festive drink, often sweetened, spiced up with ginger, clove, cinnamon, sugar, of course.
And sometimes spiked with rum,
Okay.
bringing it full circle.
Sometimes, yeah. And while you can buy it commercially now, it feels like every Caribbean family has their own secret recipe, their own little twist.
Right. What are the core ingredients then? Hibiscus.
Dried hibiscus petals, yeah. Fresh grated ginger, lots of it usually. Clove, cinnamon, maybe some allspice. Sugar, a honey to sweeten, and water.
And the preparation. There's something about sacred marination.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You usually boil the hibiscus petals with the ginger and spices first. Then you let it steep, often overnight. That's the marination part. Then you strain it, sweeten it to taste. It takes time, you know? And memory and just the right vibe. No Michelin stars needed, just patience and tradition.
Are there rituals around making it?
Oh, yeah. Some people add orange peel or bay leaf, maybe tamarind for extra tartness. There are debates, you know. Do you sweeten it hot or cold? When do you add the rum, if you do?
Huh. Fierce debates, I bet.
Totally. And it's often made in these huge batches, right? Especially around the holidays, becomes a family activity, often with storytelling, music playing, real communal effort. That family pride in their recipe is intense.
I can imagine. Okay, symbolism, emotional impact, memory you can drink.
That's a perfect description. It is memory you can drink. It's spicy, bold, but also really comforting.
Representing heritage, gathering.
Heritage, gathering, resistance, celebration, all of it. For many, it's home in a glass, even if they're far away.
It sounds vibrant, loud and red like joy.
Yes, and it's the kind of drink that, like, knows your grandma's laugh. It's familiar, deep, comforting in that specific way.
And its role in society, tied to holidays, diaspora identity.
Very much so. Associated with Caribbean holidays, absolutely. And a key part of diaspora identity, often made by the aunties, the matriarchs, bottled by the culture, you could say. And it crosses age and class lines. Everyone drinks it, and it's always wrapped up in meaning.
Market presence. Mainstream in the Caribbean, you said.
Yeah.
But more niche here.
Yeah, mainstream there. Here in the U.S., definitely more niche or maybe seen as cool kid counterculture. Sometimes you see it on cafe menus just as hibiscus ginger tea, which kind of misses the depth.
It strips the context.
Exactly. But its roots are deep and undeniably Black. You won't see it hyped in mainstream movies maybe, but it's all over diaspora, literature, music, kitchens. It's like this silent symbol of Black tradition. Passed down, not necessarily broadcast wide.
How is it viewed socially then? Sacred versus exoticized?
In Caribbean homes, yeah, pretty sacred. In the West, it often gets exoticized for sure, but people are increasingly recognizing it as this cultural staple that also happens to have, medicinal swag, health benefits.
Is it timeless, or is
Uh,
it having a moment?
Both, maybe. It feels timeless, like reggae or braids or just generational knowledge. But yeah, it is having a bit of a trend moment in wellness circles, often under fancier names.
And how do different generations perceive it? Elders versus millennials versus
Sure.
wellness influencers?
Yeah, elders might say, that's our holiday drink, period. Millennials often see it as, this is my connection, my roots in a bottle. And then, yeah, the wellness crowd might focus on the antioxidant-rich floral infusion, which, okay, it is that, but
It misses the bigger story.
it misses the soul sometimes, yeah.
Okay, taste, texture, temperature again. You said ice cold.
Definitely best ice cold. Texture is smooth, rich, almost juicy. The taste, it's tart, yeah, kind of like cranberry, spicy from all that ginger. And sweet, hopefully balanced just right. It's like a roller coaster in your mouth. Really refreshing, but also quite assertive.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Connecting it to Mac.
Mm,
This feels like a strong fit. Vibrant, extrovert cousin.
absolutely. All day. That energizing, comforting, cleansing. It feels like Mac energy. Totally.
Playful and poetic. Bold like his jokes. Rich like his pain.
Yes. Rooted in culture, but you can remix it with the vibe. It shows up loud,
Yeah.
Leaves smart. And it's best served when people are ready to feel something real.
That description, memory you can drink, linking to ancestral resilience. That really echoes Mac's connection to his roots, right? And how that grounds his humor, even his pain.
Precisely. It's not just about surface joy. It's about that deep, rich history he carries. It allows him to show up loud and make that mark authentically.
Wow. Okay. So if we try to connect all this, all three of these drinks, what does it all mean when we bring it together? Rum, root beer, ginger hibiscus sorrel. So different yet.
Yet they each tap into aspects of Mac, right? That contradiction, the deep cultural roots, the resilience, the community focus, the joy, the depth beneath the surface, the playfulness, and that ability they all have in their own way to connect people and offer comfort.
Yeah, okay. So what are the common threads you see running through all three?
Well, one thing is how they all get complexity from pretty simple components, actually. Another is that deep connection to shared history, to identity. And they all function as either like vibe elevators lifting the mood or as sources of real grounding comfort.
And they're all real, not trying to impress.
Exactly. They just are what they are. They speak to those layers of Mac, the ones right out front and the ones maybe more subtly hidden. It shows how he navigates different worlds, but stays, authentically himself.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into rum, root beer, and ginger hibiscus sorrel. We really hope maybe you've gained a bit more appreciation for the stories behind these drinks, and maybe even a new lens for thinking about personality and what we consume.
Yeah, and it does leave you with a question, doesn't it? How might the ordinary things we eat or drink every day, how might they carry these profound histories or personal meanings, or maybe even reflect parts of our own hidden sub-personalities?
That's a great question to sit with. Maybe you'll start thinking about what drinks resonate with your own vibe. Or, just enjoy one of these next time with a little more appreciation for its deep layered story.